So something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now is the Terminator franchise and just all the movies in the whole. A lot of people say that there's only two good Terminator movies, but I actually think there's four out of the five that have been released so far. Anyway, there's a new Terminator movie on the way. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one where Sarah Connor's coming back and James Cameron's producing it. I think it's made by the same guy who made the first Deadpool, which is a good fun movie. I'm actually looking forward to this one. And like I say, I actually like the majority of the ones that were already out. So we'll start at the beginning with Terminator 1, which is actually the first Terminator movie that I saw. I saw all these movies in the correct order. So I think I was about 8 or 10 when I first watched the first Terminator movie. And I remember at the time, Terminator was the scariest thing I'd probably watched at the time. It was a horror movie to me. I remember thinking and being paranoid, like, oh no, what if there's a Terminator that's coming for me? I can't get a gun. What am I going to do? How would I get away from the Terminator? So the first Terminator movie I watched, it's a great horror movie, and that's how it'll always stick in my mind as a good horror movie. And it's probably the Terminator that I've seen the least. I've never really gone back to watch it. I just remember it as a good movie from watching it as a kid. I don't think I've seen it in at least 10 years, 10 years plus even. And then Terminator 2 comes round. I was a little bit older. Some time had passed by the time I got around to watch Terminator 2. I think like maybe 4 years or something. So I was probably like 11, 12 when I watched Terminator 2. Caught it on TV. And that's when the Terminator became like a badass, and all of a sudden I went from being like, I won't say I was scared of the Terminator at 12, but it was kind of the boogeyman, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I wish I had a Terminator to chill with and to hang out with and do some cool stuff with, ride a motorbike like John Connor. I remember around the time I watched Terminator 2, it wasn't too long until Terminator 3 was going to be released in cinema, and I remember thinking, at this point I was looking forward and invested in the Terminator franchise, so I'm looking forward to Terminator 3 eventually getting around to see it. I wasn't going to see it in the cinema, but whenever I'd get to see it on DVD, and when I did, it was just a massive letdown. I remember being disappointed in the fact that John Connor didn't come back, the same actor. That's probably one of the biggest letdowns. Obviously Sarah Connor is nowhere to be seen. It was all just pretty bad, really. The only good thing in Terminator 3 is the car chase scene where I think Arnold's in the truck, and the highway scene. That's the best scene in that movie, anyway. So Terminator 3 just sucks. That was just like a proper boring letdown movie. But then we're going, obviously, like nearly another 10 years past. That was like the thing with the Terminator. You'd get one every 10 years. So obviously, whenever it came out in the 80s and the 90s, then this is early 2000s, and then late 2000s or early 2010s, whatever, we get Terminator. Can't remember what this one's called either. Terminator Salvation. We get Terminator Salvation. I never saw any trailers for this movie, but apparently a lot were spoiled in the trailers. But because I never saw them, I was going into it kind of fresh. And I'm not going to lie, I thought it were a good movie. There were a couple of, so the spoiler, the Terminator's got like a heart and I think maybe a brain, which is supposed to make him more human for infiltration, which don't really make much sense to me, but I kind of like how at the end, John Connor, he needs a new heart, and it takes the heart that was in this Terminator that was probably sent there to kill him or whatever. I can't quite remember the story, but I thought it was like, at this point, so we've got Terminator 1 and 2, they're like the gospel, they're like the original canon, and then the way I look at it is 3 is just what if this is the way it continued. Salvation, once again, what if this is the future of Earth, so it's not necessarily canon. And then we'll go into Terminator Genesis, which I remember I watch a lot of movie reviews, so everyone was just hating on this movie, saying it was terrible and blah blah blah. So I remember going into it when it finally came on Netflix. I remember thinking it were on Netflix for a good few weeks. I'd seen it and I just put it off for ages, but it got to that point where I had nothing else to watch. So I finally get round to putting Terminator Genesis on, and I don't know if it was straight away. In fact, I think I put it on the first time, and it was just like, what is this cheese ball? It was nothing like what I wanted. Another couple of weeks passed, and then it got round to the point where once again I've got nothing else to watch. So I put Terminator Genesis back on, and now that I knew that it was like proper cheesy and kind of like a big budget B movie, I was so much more on board with it. and I ended up really enjoying this. And is it compared to 1 and 2? Is it anything similar? Not at all. It's a completely different tone. It's a lot more for the laughs, and some of it's proper cringy. But if you're on board with it, it's actually pretty good. And then so this just became like a fun, big budget Terminator B movie. You know, Arnold's back. We've got like a young Sarah Connor. It involves some sort of weird time travel, and there's so many movies in this movie. There's so many bits in this movie where I don't know if you're supposed to be, but I was just laughing so much. And like even the end, it's so much bullshit. Where like spoilers for Terminator Genesis. Hopefully you've already seen it, but in the end, like Arnold's T-800, he goes in like some sort of machine that fuses in with another Terminator. So now he's still the T-8000, but he's like got some sick upgrade, and he's like a proper badass at the end of the movie. So like if there was a sequel to Genesis, he'd be like some next level super Terminator. It was just proper funny, and yeah, it was just more jokes than anything. So yeah, that's pretty much my little brief analysis of the Terminator movies. Really, you know, one's a great horror movie. Two's a great action movie where you want to chill with the Terminator. Three just sucks. Four, whatever four's called, I forgot again. That one's a great kind of what if this is the future of the Terminators. And then five, Genesis. That one's just like I said, just a fun big budget B movie spin off whatever sort of story of the Terminator. You know, you're just more in that one for the laughs. And I hope that it goes back to the more like serious badass route with this new one that we've got coming out. I can't remember what it's called, but the one with the director of Deadpool and James Cameron coming back. Hopefully it'll get to the little bit more serious. But if not, I'll probably end up liking it, to be honest, as long as it's nothing like free, which I don't think it will be. I'm fully invested in it, so I can't wait to see it.